What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to Nintendo Landon, and today's video is something that, once again, a lot of you guys probably know me from, is the memes of course, Nintendo forgot about Mario. And I've talked about kind of where that meme came from and just gave you guys some kind of small insight as to what that was about. At the end of the day, to quickly sum that up, it was simply just because of the fact that I wanted to see another 3D Mario game, and a lot of people didn't watch the video, so they didn't quite understand what I was coming from. So I want to talk about why I want 3D Mario so bad. What's the whole reasoning? Why? There's so many other games and franchises and things out there, including like a brand new 3D Donkey Kong coming that's literally made by the Odyssey team. But why is it still specifically 3D Mario that my heart is after? Why do I care so much about this one character? Why is 3D Mario so freaking important to me? Let's talk. Once again, I just want to thank you guys so much for supporting this brand new channel of mine where I just sit here and keep it real with you guys and just chat and talk about things that's on my mind. If you guys want to continue to help the channel grow, just leave a like and subscribe. I'm telling you, it helps out so much for me. We are currently at 1,700 subscribers. Let's try to get to 2,000, so you could literally make that happen today by just dropping a like and subscribing. But let's dive into why in the world I am so fascinated with 3D Mario and kind of where did this all begin, why did I get to this point, and why is this like the one thing that I am actively always looking for? Well, let's dive into it. I started playing video games when I was really little. I can't even actually remember when. I started off with like a PlayStation 1. I also played like tons of Sonic games. I think it was a point in time where I think Sonic was even more than Mario. Like I grew up with like Pac-Man World, Ty the Tasmanian Tiger, Mario as well, and it just like with all of them thrown together, I never really had a specific, individualistic love for just Mario. Only it just kind of, was something that just kind of grown over the years. One of my first major titles that I will never forget is Super Mario Sunshine on the GameCube. It was one of my first real 3D Mario experiences. I never really played 64. I kind of just jumped straight to Super Mario Sunshine, and I remember just absolutely loving that game. Me and my dad would play nonstop, and it was like also extremely challenging for me, especially as a kid, even for adults. Sunshine is pretty challenging. It's definitely like one of the hardest Mario games, probably not as hard as 64. I don't know, it's close, but yeah, I loved Sunshine growing up, and it's still one of my favorite video games of all time. You guys probably know that. I talk about it a lot on the Nintendo Land channel. But yes, it just had this vibe and this charm with the beach-themed worlds, the colorful worlds. It just had something that I can't really describe, and no other game was doing it like 3D Mario. I mean, you had lots of other 3D platformers out there, but like I said, Mario was just different, man. The way Mario moved, he dove and just kind of, spin jump, back jump, triple jump. I mean, he's just an acrobat. You're just parkouring through some of these stages, and it feels so good to control, so much fun to play, and it gives you like these fun, fantasy-filled, colorful worlds to explore. And it's just something that's just so different. And even to this day, you don't really see too many games like 3D Mario. But continuing growing up, I obviously fell in love with Mario games. Some of my greatest Mario experiences come from the 3D Mario games. Some of my greatest video game experiences come from 3D Mario. Growing up with Mario Galaxy and coming home from baseball practice and getting all my schoolwork done, and sitting down and being able to play like an hour to 2 hours of Mario Galaxy because I couldn't play too long. Being excited for Mario Galaxy 2, obviously. I remember going to GameStop and watching the trailers on the monitors and even like playing the demo stations that they would have. It was so awesome. And even eventually seeing Mario 3D World. My story with 3D World is so hilarious. At the time, I didn't even know that there was a thing called Nintendo Directs. I thought for the longest time that Nintendo just randomly dropped brand new games on their YouTube channel or something. So I would sit there and like every night before bed, I would refresh Nintendo's YouTube channel, and I would refresh it hoping for some type of new game announcement. It was so corny and weird. But then one night, I guess there was a big Nintendo Direct that revealed 3D World. I went to bed, and before I, went to bed, I actually once again, searched upcoming Mario games on YouTube, and that trailer popped up, and I couldn't believe it. I was so thrown off, and it was like not until years after that I figured out, like, oh, there's these things called Nintendo Directs, which yeah, it sucked, but I was so excited. I remember 3D World probably being my most hype game at that point, because Galaxy just kind of came out. I was excited for it and got it. Same with Galaxy 2, but this is the first time I've seen the game. I saw the trailer. I was, ready for the game, looking forward to the game, and I was so excited for it. And 3D World was amazing, of course. And then we'd go on this long drought of no 3D Mario game. We haven't had a sandbox game since Sunshine. And then Odyssey. Oh my gosh, the whole wait for Odyssey. I'm telling you, I've never been more excited, more counting down the days for any game in my life than I was for Odyssey. It was crazy. I mean, I remember having like an Odyssey calendar and literally just counting, okay, 4 months, 3 months, 2 weeks, 3 days. I could not wait for that game. The marketing around it kept me excited, seeing Nintendo kind of travel around the globe with like the Mario mascot and stuff. But yeah, Mario brings me joy, man. And it's just like, it's so different. You live in a world nowadays where almost every new game outside of Nintendo, so like Xbox, PlayStation and stuff, every new game is like a first or third person shooter, some type of zombie survivor game, some type of horror game, and it's all like super realistic, like Call of Duty realism vibes, and they don't have those vibes of Mario. And that's why I think I fell in love with Fortnite so much back in 2017, is because it was like the only third person shooter at the time that had this art style that was different. It was kind of cartoony. It took a different approach than this realism approach that everybody was doing. And that's why it kind of was able to separate itself. It had wacky building mechanics and crazy wacky guns and items and things that you wouldn't see in normal shooting games. And that's why I think Mario just always stood out to me, because it was just so wacky and different and colorful and charming, because it's one of those video games you play to get away. You're not playing to see this realism simulator. And Mario just always stood the test of time and did that. And Nintendo, they're obviously good with that. You look at all their different IPs with Kirby and, Luigi's Mansion, you could even say Donkey Kong. We can go through the whole franchises, Pikmin. They all have this kind of colorful charm to them. And at the time, Nintendo wasn't making 3D games, And I mean, you could even say that to this, all the way up towards the halfway mark of Switch 1, Nintendo wasn't really still making 3D games. I mean, Kirby has been primarily 2D, genuinely all 2D up to that point. Same thing when it comes to Yoshi and stuff. Yoshi games are always 2D. Donkey Kong games are always 2D since the 64, where they did Donkey Kong 64 and it was in 3D. But I mean, everything is just either 2D or a different style of game than Odyssey or than 3D Mario. So we really didn't have many 3D platformers from Nintendo themselves, which was weird. And I think that's why I just fell in love with Mario so much, because I knew if we didn't get a Mario game, we weren't going to get a 3D platformer of any sort. Obviously, we got Kirby and Forgotten Land on the Switch, which greatly helped this. We're getting Donkey Kong Bonanza on the Switch too, which is just even better. So it's making me excited that maybe Yoshi can follow suit and stuff, and we can start getting more characters that are, diving into that 3D realm. I know Captain Toad kind of did it with his own puzzle game, and Luigi's Mansion is this, 3D puzzle type of game. So I love how these other IPs are finally fleshing out into bigger and better projects, which is helping the wait for the next 3D Mario game. But still, even as excited as I am for Donkey Kong Bonanza, I mean, it's made by the Odyssey team. It looks exactly like Odyssey 2. It is the next 3D Mario game, ideally. But still, it is not 3D Mario. And I think this time around more than ever is, just wilder for me, because normally I'd say, this is perfectly fine. I don't even need 3D Mario. Donkey Kong Bonanza is my 3D Mario. I'm good. But I think the problem this time around is the wait it's been. It's been almost 8 years since Super Mario Odyssey, which is the longest by far now that we've ever had to go. Very, very long wait. And also the fact that it just feels like this time Nintendo is going to, be super ambitious with Mario. I've kind of talked myself into believing that this next 3D Mario is going to be a certain way, and if it's not, I'm just going to be upset. I know that's a terrible thing to, be like, and a terrible way to act, but I'm so excited for this next 3D Mario game. It has my mind just rushing with ideas of what they're going to do. When they came out with Bowser's Fury and we see Mario in this giant 3D landscape and stuff, and, you know, kind of able to freely explore this mini open world, it keeps me wondering what in the world are they going to be able to do when it comes down to a full-fledged open world Mario game, like a whole world that's interconnected. And I see things like the Mario movie, and I think to myself, man, we really haven't had a 3D Mario game that really covered the entirety of the Mushroom Kingdom. You know what I mean? Like, we never really saw a proper Toad Town outside of the RPG games. We never been able to run through Toad Town and see the Toads, you know, going in and out of their houses, going to work and stuff. We never really got to explore the full castle since Mario 64. There's been little Easter egg games that let us do it here and there, like Paper Mario, and then we were able to do it in Odyssey on like the first floor. But like, I want to go through the entirety of the castle. I want to see it completely revamped, remade, and I want it to look completely different. Like, I am so ready to see the Mushroom Kingdom the way it's supposed to be seen. And I know I've said this a lot of times, like, dude, I'm thinking to myself, almost like the new Super Mario Bros. U map, you have like the soda jungle, you have the dry baked desert and stuff, and the glaciers and the snow mountains and stuff. But imagine all of those locations, the rock candy mines, the Bowser's lava volcano area. You know what I mean? There's all these areas from New Super Mario Bros. U, but they're fully accessible in a giant open world where one region bleeds into the next. And Mario Kart World kind of did that. You know, it kind of had these different biomes and regions and areas where the tracks are represented in each of those regions and stuff, and you can just drive seamlessly through those areas, which I really, really like. But I see this, and I feel like it's almost still just a blueprint to what we're going to be getting, like a massive, almost Breath of the Wild scale world, but just full of just Mario. You know, it's not going to be like Breath of the Wild. It's going to have Mario art style, Mario direction, and just maybe more condensed, and maybe not as big as Breath of the Wild, but filled with tons of just Mario platforming challenges like, Bowser's Fury was, where there's tons of just cat shine missions where we would just, go to hit this switch and a cat shine would pop up and we'd have to do this little obstacle course. I'm just thinking of something like that, and I'm sure Nintendo's, hard at work with crazier ideas. I mean, I have a very baseline idea, just an open world, tons, like hundreds and hundreds of platforming challenges that we can go do, but we can explore the open world, use Mario's awesome moveset, maybe have like a little item wheel where we can pull out any item at any time and use them, like a Tanuki tail in order to fly across gaps or fly up into the trees, or like the super cape in order to just, fly through the air and glide across the landscape, jump into a cart and drive it around like Mario Kart World, stuff like that. It still to this day makes me like giddy thinking of the possibilities. And like I said, Donkey Kong Bonanza is huge, and it feels like another Odyssey, which is great, a 3D sandbox game. But I feel like this next Mario game is going to be way bigger than we've ever imagined. I really do. And we still, in my opinion, haven't had a Breath of the Wild moment on Switch 2, or even have one slated for Switch 2. I don't think any of the games in the lineup right now have that same, kind of aura that Breath of the Wild had. Like I said, Donkey Kong is going to be very similar to Odyssey, and I love that, but Breath of the Wild just had that aura. You guys remember, like, it just had that, like, you knew you were about to step into a new realm of Nintendo. Like, it was something completely new. Huge, ambitious title. It was so ambitious, Nintendo had their own E3 Direct just on the game alone. That is what I'm waiting for. And I feel like Mario Kart just is not that, especially Mario Kart World, where it has a lot of issues. And Donkey Kong Bonanza is going to be really, really great, but it's not as ambitious for sure. I mean, you can tell because Nintendo, for one, is not even pricing it as high as they possibly can, because Mario Kart World is $80, Donkey Kong Bonanza is being priced at $70. And honestly, if they were to price Breath of the Wild back then at $80, I would have paid for it without a question. You know what I mean? I would have paid $100 for that game because Breath of the Wild was just so revolutionary. So I'm ready for that Mario revolutionary game now. And I feel like we've never really gotten it. Mario Odyssey was really, really good. Really, really good. But I don't think it was evolutionary. It was just kind of the next step, the next direction for open sandbox Mario, like we had with 64, Sunshine, and then Odyssey. But I think it's time to revolutionize Mario. It's time to bring Mario to the highest point it possibly can go. And I think that is, as much as some people will hate it, it's still to push it towards that open world. And I think, like I said, Bowser's Fury was definitely a blueprint to that. I think Mario Kart World was a blueprint to that. And I think we can get ready for some really exciting things. And like I said, I'm just giddy thinking of all the possibilities. It's going to be awesome. And I think I'm also just ready for a Nintendo game that's not being like super controversial with fans right now. I know Tears of the Kingdom definitely was, as it reused pretty much the entire map of Breath of the Wild and a lot of assets. I was somebody that wasn't too fond of the game. I know a lot of people were really upset about it. Mario Kart World obviously is extremely controversial, so I'm really just ready for a non-controversial game. The only thing I can really think of right now is Donkey Kong Bonanza. It doesn't seem like it has any real hate coming behind it, even from like Nintendo haters. For the most part, people are just like, yeah, it looks like a pretty good game. So that's cool. But I'm also just ready for that next game where I'm like losing sleep over, because I'm super duper 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 excited for Donkey Kong Bonanza. But it's still not one of those games where like I literally cannot stop thinking about it, and I'm at the point where like I'm gonna lose my mind waiting for the release date. So yeah, I'm just excited for the thing, and I just want that hype cycle to begin. And personally, I just feel like, Nintendo needs to just announce this thing so that way I can just see it. You know what I mean? And I think that's just the thing. If I see the game and I just just give me a 5-second snippet of Mario coming out of the cave like Link from Breath of the Wild and just running out to the landscape and showing us a glimpse of the map or something. Something along those lines just to get us hyped, just to generate some hype would be super awesome. So like they could literally just say Super Mario 2026. That's all I would need. But yeah, I love Mario to death, and I could sit here all day long and continue to talk about it. But that's just pretty much it. I don't really have too much else to say about it. Let me know down below. Are you like me? Are you kind of just addicted to Mario and what Mario brings to the table? It's just a different type of game. It's a different type of fun, and you don't really get it unless I guess you just grew up playing nothing but Mario, and it just feels like that's the one game I think out there now that I just genuinely just can't wait for each new installment. So it's been 8 years. I wonder how long Nintendo's going to make us wait. Is it going to be 9? Is it going to be 10? Are we going to get any news for this Mario's 40th anniversary this year? I don't know. But like I said, let me know what you think down below. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to help the channel grow. It's a new channel, and every little like and subscription helps. But thank you so much for tuning in, and like always, I'll see you all on the next one. See you guys.